Before we directly jump onto the incident activities or incident response, there are a bunch of other terms that we need to know. One of those things is threat intelligence. If you observe what we covered so far using QRadar or Splunk is just identifying attacks. We analyzed logs to know what kind of activities performed on a device. And we correlated these logs with the network traffic to know what type of attack it is. Those are the pure SOC team related activities. But on day one of this course, we discussed a bunch of other things related to the levels of these SOC. SOC level 1, level 2, level 3. Essentially, level 1 activities are the ones that we covered so far in this course. Level 2 and level 3, in general, level 2 is something that is commonly seen in the organizations, and level 2 people will do the same kind of activity for level 3 also, where you will see people like threat intelligent agents, right? Malware researchers or forensic analysts are also part of the team. Now, analyzing individual logs and correlating it with network traffic is just going to help you identify the attack as part of a proactive approach, right? There are two things that you always see, like proactive or reactive approach. What is proactive? If there is some attack that is going to happen, you need to stop that. For that, we'll do homework well before, right? So there is a chance that there may be a fire incident or a fire accident that is going to happen. So what we'll do, we'll set up some fire extinguishers. We'll make sure that we follow certain precautions that our premises will not get any of these incidents happen. Or even if some incident happens unexpectedly, we should be in a position to fix it as soon as possible, right? So we'll take all the precautions. Those are all proactive approaches. What is a reactive approach? Let us say there is something that already happened, right? Once the incident happens, then you'll call the fire engine to cut down this damage or to stop this up to some extent. Those are reactive approaches. So if there is a security incident that happened, phishing attack already happened. In connection with this phishing, there is a ransomware that was executed by one of the employees in the organization. And this ransomware started spreading in the network, right? And infecting all the computers. All the computers are getting locked. Now, you need to take a reactive approach to stop this, contain this, right? Containing means limiting the effect, right? And make sure that other resources are not affected. Same as what example that we took previously, like fire accident. If you are taking long time, the fire will spread, the damage will be more, right? So if you immediately react, obviously damage will happen, but up to some extent only. Only that building or the property related to that particular building will be under damage, but other things are safe. Now, threat hunting is kind of a proactive approach. Threat intelligence is more of collecting information while you are doing this proactive activities. So these two terms will associate with the same kind of roles, where threat intelligence means you collecting information related to threat indicators of compromise, indicators of attack, and building a database so that you can refer to this later, right? Threat hunting is like a continuous activity in your organization where you'll constantly monitor what is happening in the network and see if there is any kind of match with the threat. In fact, what we did with QRadar or Splunk, we analyzed the logs to identify if there is some kind of attack. This is kind of continuous process, right? You know, to keep monitoring all different endpoints network nodes, any digital resource that is present, right? So while you are monitoring this, if you find some kind of attack pattern, then we'll take advantage of writing rules, trigger alerts, and so on. This process of finding attacks or identifying those attacks is all threat hunting, right? Again, this looks very similar to what we call as pen testing, right? But there is a slight difference. So threat hunting is like continuous process. You'll not stop. Pen testing will come occasionally, right? Say if there is a new resource that I am setting up in this organization, new network that I set up, then we'll call for pen testing, vulnerability analysis, and so on. But threat hunting will come, or it is more associated with the monitoring activities. More you monitor, you need to identify the patterns. Now, how you can know that this is attack pattern? There should be some kind of database or some knowledge, right? That is threat intelligence, right? So please note down those 2 points that you are seeing, which are highlighted: threat hunting and threat intelligence. Threat hunting is a proactive cybersecurity approach focused on actively searching and identifying hidden threats within an organization's network or systems. Threat hunting is a proactive cybersecurity approach focused on actively searching for and identifying hidden threats within an organization's network or systems. Now, there is an advantage associated with threat hunting over pen testing. What we do in pen testing, we already know that there are certain types of procedures that I can use to identify that attack, try to exploit and confirm. But threat hunting will help us in identifying patterns rather than a fixed attack, right? More amount of logins, right? With one specific username, random passwords can be treated as brute forcing. This is kind of a pattern that we can observe by correlating logs and also network traffic. Connections you can see in network traffic, logs will say that these are the failed attempts. So we are noticing this as a brute forcing, very commonly known one, but this can be one of the activities part of a malware infection, right? So if you know that this is a pattern, you can write rule so that any malware that performs this kind of behavior can be easily detected. Next, threat intelligence is the process of gathering, analyzing, and using information about potential or current cyber threats that conduct impact on organization. That could impact an organization. For example, if you remember, on day one, we actually installed Kali Linux or as parent operating system. Each and everyone will not see the same kind of errors. Just in case if you are say facing errors, everyone will not have the same kind of errors. Each and everyone will have a different kind of error popping up based on what is your system configuration, based on what kind of setup that you did, what kind of software that you have already installed, the prerequisites that are present, and so on. So similar to this, not every time your company attacks are the only ones that everyone see. Today, there is a robber who performed a robbery in one of the areas. He used a new tactic or else a technique to perform this robbery and get success out of it. This particular tactic is not used by anyone so far, right? So what police will do? Police will investigate this case and will find out how this happened based on some common patterns. And they will make a note of what he used in this process. And they will make sure that this knowledge is shared with everyone through media. So what happens? Next time, if some other region, in some other region, if this kind of behavior is observed, we can notice that this is the same robber, right, who performed this robbery few days ago or few years ago in so and so pattern. Same in case of malware or any kind of attack. If you have a database with all these patterns, right, matching with who performed it, who used this tactic previously, right, can really be helpful. For example, this threat intelligence feeds. If you feed this to your Splunk, right, Splunk, which correlates your logs and network traffic, can easily identify that this is so and so attack and give that information also. You remember in case of QRadar, we have seen how to write these rules to detect a specific attack. What if you attach this threat intelligence database to QRadar? Now your QRadar will reduce the false positives and easily map this rule, right, with so and so attack, right? So you're just combining all the pieces together. So it is not like individual devices. It is more of putting all the information in one place to bring up one specific understanding about that incident. So threat intelligence is all about collecting all that threat information and put that in one database for reference, right? And threat hunting is the process of identifying these threats in your network. Now, when you are performing these activities like threat hunting, if you identify something new, documenting it, analyzing it, whether it is really true or false, and then documenting it will help in threat hunting, or it's a threat intelligence database building. There are tons of resources out there which will give you threat related information. You can go on internet or else ask ChatGPT for different platforms that provide this threat intelligence database. So organizations, when they are initially setting up, right? Let us say there is a new startup company that is coming in, right? They are new into the market. They don't know what kind of threats that are possible on their infrastructure. So what they should do, they should set up their own security team, right? And ask them to go and research about any common threats in this kind of industry. I mean, each and every company works on different kind of products, right? Say, if you are running a restaurant, the problems that you may have will be different from someone who is running a stationery store, right? Problems that a stationery store guy have will not be same as someone who is running a supermarket. The products that they have, the problems that they have will be different. Same, based on what kind of work that your company is doing. Are they dealing with security incidents? Are they dealing with some kind of development activities? Are they supposed to build products that can manage IT infrastructure and all, right? So in each and every scenario, the threats that happen are different. There are certain malware that will infect only something like oil industries, right? So certain malware that will affect only software development related industries. So mapping them and building that database, referring that is very important. Now moving on to the relation between these two and the incident response. What is incident response? There is some incident that already happened. Incident means an attack, a confirmed attack, right? And if there is incident that happened, you should immediately respond to this incident. In what way? In what way? For example, there is a ransomware attack that happened in this network. What you will do first? You'll first disconnect these computers from the network, right, to stop that attack from spreading. So if this HSG network is affected, we'll immediately disconnect these devices from this network so that this will not spread to other networks that are part of it, right? And what is the next thing that we'll do? We'll take all the infected machines and we'll collect some kind of forensic information from this. What is forensic information? Back to module 3. right? Logs, process information, program information, right? What are all different things that are happening on this computer? We'll take that memory dump, we'll analyze that, we'll perform that activity to see if there is something wrong that happened, right? And will not leave it as it is. Disconnecting this network doesn't mean that employees will have holidays, right? Disconnecting this network and then making sure that you are joining a backup thing so that employees can start working. In the background, the security team will start doing the investigation. Are you all understanding? Right? So they will start doing the investigation. After the investigation completes, they will collect this information and will give it to the security team. Which security team? Blue team, who actually maintain the infrastructure and all. They collect this information and give it to the red team also, so that they know on what kind of tactics that they can use, right? So here, using that particular knowledge, I'm going to take advantage of setting up defenses so that this ransomware incident will not happen again next. It will not repeat next, right? If we failed in the exam, right? What we need to do? We need to pay and again start writing the exam, right? Next time, are you going to do the same mistake? No. This time we'll properly prepare based on what are the mistakes that we did there, what kind of answers that we did wrong, which modules actually faced us trouble. We'll revise those things thoroughly and then we'll repeat so that we'll have success. Same. If there is an incident that happened, you investigated, take that knowledge, give it to the team back so that they can fix those loopholes using which the incident actually occurred. So this incident will not happen later. Again, this is all prediction. It is not guaranteed every time. Tomorrow, there can be some other incident that happens. So again, having this monitoring is very important. So as you can see on the screen, the three categories are like this: incident response, which actually manages and recover from the incident; threat intelligence, gather, analyze threat data; threat hunting, seek and identify hidden threats. So this is an ongoing process where incident response is after incident, threat intelligence is pre-incident, right? War may happen after 100 years, right? But why we need to build army continuously? If you are not building army continuously, right? War may happen anytime. It is planned to happen after 100 years, but because of weak army, right? It may happen the next year also. And how you are training your army? You are training your army based on some knowledge that you have related to the previous wars. In so-and-so war, this kind of bomb is used to blast, right? So how you can make sure that the equipment that you are building now is strong enough to face this kind of blast? What kind of techniques you teach to your army? You know that in the previous army, the opponents use so-and-so tools and tactics. Now you will teach the same exact tactics to these parties and let how to escape from those tactics, right? Same scenarios in case of cyber world, right? So one is after incident response, right? So threat intelligence is all pre-incident, before incident, and threat hunting is kind of ongoing. Now in all these three cases, we use different things, right? So in module 3, we actually analyzed logs on different endpoints manually. We call that as endpoint detection and analysis. These things can be automated with the help of tools. One of those tools that you are actually heard about in the last year is CrowdStrike, right? CrowdStrike's Falcon is one of the most popular endpoint detection and response tool. Of course, they have a lot of other products too, right? So installing this CrowdStrike Falcon, you can actually take advantage of automating all the things that we did in module 3. You don't need to manually do that. Of course, those tools are kind of paid ones, right? Which we can't demonstrate it, but what they do is the same. You simply install an agent on this computer, it will start collecting information and displays that on the screen. That's it. It is you who must notice if there is some kind of abnormalities present. Now, this particular tool can forward this to Splunk or QRadar, whatever SIM tool that you are using. So in SIM, you will see this information coming from different endpoints, and SIM, you can write rules to say that this is so and so attack. See how we are correlating or connecting all the dots from different modules in this course, right? So these three are very important, right? So they may ask you what is difference between threat intelligence, threat hunting. So threat intelligence informs about emergent risks. Threat hunting detects hidden attacks, and incident response will manage active incidents to reduce the impact or minimize the impact. All right, this is fine. But can you tell me why incidents happen? Why incidents happen? Incident happen because of n number of things. What are they? Vulnerabilities in the computers, network, or operating systems, or services that you run, servers that you set up, or your employees, untrained employees, right? And weak rules that you write in your defenses like firewalls, routers, switches, endpoints, SIM tools, right? So incidents can happen in because of n number of reasons, right? So if there is an incident that happened, you need to quickly find out because of what reason this incident happened. That is where we'll make use of tools or frameworks. Frameworks are kind of standards that are given by standard organizations, which you can refer to. Tools will help you in doing this particular activity that is mentioned in the frameworks.